creativity just for the sake of creativity may be fun, but when you relate it to business and business communication and the development of strategy, your application of creativity has to be focused. And so we look a lot at how do we focus that creativity, how do we apply that. Part of that is being very strategic when it comes to developing communication programs. And then so understanding strategy, I think some of the greatest creative of all time is rooted in great strategies of all time. I don't think you see very great creative, whether it's in advertising or public relations or whatever marketing communications discipline. That's great work that's not rooted in a strategy that's absolutely right on. And so we look at what's the strategy for that creative, and that's actually an exercise that we do, is we look at great campaigns. You know, what do people think is really great creative work, and then look at what's the strategy behind that. Because if the creative's great, the strategy should be obvious. It should be very evident. In many cases, the more restrictive, say, a strategy may seem, the bigger the creative opportunity is. And I don't mean that in a general sense. We say, oh, this is a huge opportunity and it's an impossible situation. I do mean that sometimes when you have a tougher challenge, you need to be more creative than you've ever been. One of the examples I give on the first night of class is I draw the number 4. And the number 4, so it looks like a sail on a sailboat, that kind of a number 4. And I ask students, well, what is that? What is that? What's the traditional representation of that? And all of them say the number 4, which is correct. But then we look at what else could that be? It could be a sail on a sailboat. It could be, if you're Pablo Picasso, this is a true story, argued with his teacher in grade school that it was a nose. And if you think of Picasso's abstract style and a number 4 that's drawn like a sail on a sailboat, you can see that could be an abstract nose. Or if you turn it upside down, it could be a rudder for a boat. I mean, it could be a lot of different things. And so I ask students to approach the course being open to possibilities, that there's more than just one right answer. I think when we look at marketing communications, if we look at the discipline of business communications, a lot of times we're in a rush to find the right answer when there can be a lot of right answers. And that's where I think creativity comes in. You want to find a lot of different right answers, and of course, choose the best one. I had a woman who started the class, and she said she wanted to take the class because she didn't have a creative bone in her body. And of course I challenged that, and I said, all your bones are creative, and by the end of the semester, we're going to make sure that you have found that out. So she said, okay, great. Well, her final totem, and if you had a close-up here, you could see that I'm actually getting goosebumps when I talk about this. This was 12 years ago, and I still get it when it happens. She came in and she had a light board. You know, one of those boards you put up and put things against, and the light reflects through. And it was a light board for x-rays. And she had gotten a complete skeleton of x-rays. Now, it wasn't her skeleton, but she found this whole set of x-rays for a skeleton. And she started putting each piece up, talking about how she had found how all of her bones were now creative. And to this day, that's just one of the best stories I have. It's just great. It's just great. And it happens every semester. You see breakthroughs like that. You see people breaking through. The values of getting a master's in business communications from St. Thomas, and I will specify St. Thomas. Now, of course, I'm not completely objective here, but I have to tell you, as someone that hires mid-level, senior-level, entry-level people, the MBC at St. Thomas is unique in that it has a nice mixture of theory and practical application. Where I think a lot of other programs are much more theory-based entirely, and there's, believe me, there's plenty of theory in all of these classes, but there's this healthy dose of practical application. And so I think what students get here is really a very well-rounded experience, and they're dealing with people who have worked in the field, have got experience, people that are doing current research in marketing communications. So I think it's a very well-rounded program, really better than, and we recruit from a lot of different schools for our agency, and time and time again, the folks from St. Thomas rise to the top because of that experience they have.